Top 5 things to take away from George Kilavkoff's presser. There are some things he really wanted us to know, by the way, because he kept saying them. Number 5, he is trying desperately to turn the focus to the season, and with good reason. The Pac-12 is one of the deepest conferences this year. They've got the returning Heisman Trophy winner. They've got 4 or 5 guys who could be legit Heisman candidates in addition to the returning Heisman Trophy winner. It's going to be a very exciting season, but, that's for the coaches and players to talk about, not you necessarily. And that was clear. He kept trying to turn the conversation to, what do you think about, we want to talk about football today, but again, George, nobody's coming to hear you talk about X's and O's.
Yeah, that's not what conference commissioners typically address. They're not sitting there giving you their takes on, 1 through 12, how the conference is going to fall or what the quarterback play is going to look like. I mean, he's there to answer really the state of the conference business, and that's all. I know that most people that I'm aware of wanted to hear from him, and we got some of that. But, yeah, he was hoping to keep the focus on football. That's why they didn't announce their deal, although he backpedaled. Well, that's not – and I still don't know what exactly he meant. Like, he talked about, well, that's not – however he phrased that, where he was asked about the putting off announcing the deal so they could focus on football, and then he was asked about that in particular, so that indicates that you have a deal. Oh, no, you're reading too much into it. So what was he meaning to say?
Yeah.
Do we still even know that? So
Yeah.
you do or you don't, and that's now just confusing, and so it's just empty words, really, if anything. But, yeah, he wants to focus on football. They have a great year in store. They got the Heisman winner there on the left of the screen, got a really good quarterback there on the right of the screen, and some other guys as well, and some teams that should be right there in the hunt. So, I'm sure they'd rather that focus be on football, and it could have been far more on that, but unfortunately for them, the majority of a lot of the questions, at least the media are concerned, are having to do with the non-football stuff.
Number 4, he sidestepped a lot. When he was asked direct questions, he did not give direct answers. And that is where, when you're at a press conference, you get in trouble. No matter what it is. If you're asked a direct question and you do not give a direct answer, you have created a new problem for yourself. And a direct answer could also be, I cannot answer that at that time. That's direct. But non-answers make it worse.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'd probably need to go through like quote by quote. I mean, I agree somewhat and disagree slightly. I don't think it matters, really. I don't think it changes anything. I don't think that suddenly, because of the way that he answered questions today, that one of the schools that wasn't planning on jumping suddenly decides to, or vice versa. I think, if anything, it just made him more... it made him an easier target for people on Twitter to poke holes at or to make fun of, or for the media to poke holes in his story. But yeah, to the point of the topic here, number 4, yeah, he sidestepped some stuff. There was a lot that went unanswered. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I think that we're in the exact same spot we entered. The only difference is now we've heard from George Kilavkoff. That's the only difference. There's no deal, or there is. He doesn't even know by the end of the whole talk. And there's nothing that's been, uncovered in terms of the networks involved or the money figures being exchanged or any of that. All that's still completely unknown. So, he didn't really answer anything in the long run other than they just don't have a deal. Oh, wait, they do, but they're just not releasing it on media day. Oh, wait, we're reading too much into that. And again, I still don't know what all that was supposed to mean and what we're supposed to take from what they actually do or do not have.
Yeah. Number 3. San Diego State went rogue. He made that clear and clarified it. Look, everybody's kind of made that clear, but when asked about it, because I was curious. Like, this is one of the things that I was even more curious about, because I knew they weren't going to hear about the media deal. I was curious to see if he was like, look, and not only that he would answer that, but curious to see how he would answer the San Diego State question that you've got a team that is, tried to leave their conference for a minute to come join yours. Why would they do that if you didn't say anything to them? And he did. That was kind of clear on that. Like, look, we're not talking to anybody about expansion until the media deal's done. So they did try and skip a step.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it, or they just got a little bit too excited, and that's the mistake that they made and probably learned from. And I don't think there's really anything else to really get into the weeds about as far as that whole story. I think it's all been pretty clear now at this point that San Diego State erred on their end as far as the timing of it went. I still feel like, another thing that went unanswered is just the what to exactly expect outside of, the status quo of we'll get our deal done first and then we'll add teams. Like, that's remained the case all along. But, I mean, is that San Diego State by themselves? Is it in a grouping with someone else? Is it even them? Is there any expansion whatsoever?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that's not, because I feel like already I'm seeing it. Like, I know San Diego State fans definitely feel like they're already in, or at least the majority that I come across appear to feel that way. SMU fans, like, there's not a lot of them, but the ones that I do see have, like, they're acting like they've already, like, competed for the conference title. It's such a done deal that it's silly that us idiots are even talking about it here or anywhere else for that matter. So remains to be seen. I mean, they're not officially members now, and San Diego State, I don't think cost itself, but it'll be fascinating to see when they do get that call and when that comes.
Number 2, he does not want to talk about realignment yet. And again, he doesn't have anything to say, but he made that clear that, look, after the San Diego State thing, they went rogue and they're not ready to talk about realignment until they get the media deal done. And we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, right now there's nothing to talk about, and he's not going to talk about people he's potentially talked to, even though we know who he has. That's what I think was kind of confusing.
What?
That he didn't at least say, well, look, there's plenty of interested partners out there and we'd love to talk to them, but he didn't really flower that up at all.
No, and I mean, I don't know how intentional that was or not.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be they're just so busy with all the new contenders at the table for this TV deal that now that's opened up so broadly for them. So, yeah, I don't know how to take any of that other than, I mean, clearly the message has remained the same. They've got to get the TV deal done first. When? Who the hell knows? I mean, at this point. But, yeah, we'll finally get an answer once that occurs on whether or not the Aztecs or the Mustangs or any other team combination could be joining the fray, or nobody at all. That could also be an answer at the end of the road, and that would, in its own right, be very interesting to unpack.
Yep. And number 1, the media deal's not done. Like, I think the last answer.
You're reading too much into it, Paul, to use Kilavkoff's own words.
No, I think it's not done, because here's the thing: with as much controversy as it has been done, and they need good news, they should be shouting good news to the hilltops. Because if they're waiting because more people are at the table, well, you're either waiting or it's done. He said both those things. So to me, it's not done. And that's what we have to take away from it. It's not done. It wasn't done. He says they're on the same timeline, which that even makes it more confusing, because your president surely thought there was a shorter timeline in this, but maybe you didn't convey that with them and say, like, look, our timeline's the same and we think we'll get it announced within this. So, it doesn't help that, 2 conferences that didn't have to go to market went to market. Like, the Big Ten still had time on theirs when they got theirs done. The Big 12 still had time on theirs when they had theirs done. You guys, I mean, just the planning of this just seems really, really poor.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know had the Big 12 not gone to the table, I don't think anybody's freaking out about any of this. Yeah. I mean, I don't think we're even talking about it. The Big 12 doing what they did created this entire story, really. I'm sure there would be some discussion about it, because you'd still have them waiting now rather than having a deal done. But, yeah, I mean, I think the pressure definitely got ratcheted up just because of the move that Yormark made. So he was smart to apply pressure in that way if his end goal is to get, some teams hopping over the fence. But, everything's remained as is. All the teams seem to be on the same page. I mean, he reiterated that today about all 10 want to remain in the conference and want to see this deal through. And it appears as though that's going to be the case, no matter how much we've heard about, this meeting and is this the one and Colorado's going to leave now. If that were to happen now, I think it'd be a big surprise, because there's nothing in the cards to indicate that's coming to fruition anytime soon. It appears they're going to wait this thing on through, however long that is. I mean, but, it's funny because there's a lot of people saying, like, well, you got to get it done by media days, and they haven't. And now it's a question, are they going to get done by the time the season starts? Now, I have serious doubts about that. I really do. And I don't think it'll be as much of a topic throughout the regular season, because football will be played, but That would be a little bit concerning. At the same time, just to the point of the topic here, it's not done. It's clearly not done. If it was done and it was satisfactory, they would have sang it from the rooftops today. Mm-hmm. And they did the exact opposite of that. They kept it very vague and very confusing as far as what's actually done and what's not. The only thing we know is they reiterated the order in which all this is supposed to be taking place. But as for the deal, the thing that kicks all this into motion, realignment and grant of rights and all those things, they're not at that point yet. And again, it's a question as to when that actually is going to be, but soon is what we always hear, in the near future. So take that as you will. But if you took that in January, you'd still be sitting around in July, late July, waiting for that end to come. So who the heck knows? But it's not done now. That's very clear after what we heard today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Craig. Great stuff all day today. Really interesting discussion on